is in college basketball. Hoop, there it is. Courtesy of Silverback Concrete, Titan MRI, and QC Kinetics. It's full court press time. Here are Steve and Mark.
When your auto insurance coverage is too big or too small, it feels, well, you know. That's why USAA
Hello, welcome once again to another edition of Hoop. There it is. Think we got some things to talk about today? I think we do. That is Mark Wise. I'm Steve Russell. Zach Rothrock is our producer today, and we thank you for joining us to talk a lot of hoops. Congratulations, obviously, to the Gators, Mark, for getting to the Final Four.
Right.
But very chalky. But, you know, some people don't like that. But look, they were number one seeds and played like it.
Well, the heavyweights are meeting on Saturday. And so I think I read something this morning that historically speaking, since Ken Palm has been doing his numbers crunching since 1996-97, these are four of the best 10 all-time teams.
Wow.
From a Ken Palm perspective. So to say heavyweight is kind of an understatement. This should be a lot of fun. I mean, there's no question about it. The matchups are magical. I know everybody's complaining about Cinderella, and I understand that. I don't like the way it's trending also. But my goodness, could you ask for a better card on Saturday than the two games that we have?
I think I saw the number where it was only 11 games in the entire tournament where the worst seeded team won.
It wasn't a lot of upsets. The other part of that equation, though, that I want to come back to is I read also this morning that the chances of the four number one seeds all making it to San Antonio was 17%. So does that tell you how hard it is to win games in the tournament? I got interviewed the other day about, and I was asked how successful of a season would you say Arkansas has had? I mean, are you kidding me? They got to the second weekend. I mean, this is all four of these programs. This is house money now in terms of the Final Four. Even for Duke, the bar can't be getting to the Final Four because it's not realistic. You don't make it there every year. So from that standpoint, congratulations. I hope, and this is what I'm afraid is what is happening with the transfer portal. Because these staffs are trying to play in the Final Four and work the portal at the same time, I don't know how you can enjoy this experience. And this is the one experience, speaking firsthand, I wish I had enjoyed more. Now, I was 23, 24 years old at the time, and another guy, we did the role of about 10 guys now. Video guy, player development guy, money guy, I mean, student assistant, grad assistant. You name the 10 roles, there were two of us back at Purdue back in the day. And the Final Four was in Indianapolis, so it didn't have a lot of sex appeal for us, 60 miles away. But you will remember that experience and this experience for the rest of your life. But I wish I had, an hour to go out and say hi to my friends, my coaching colleagues that were there. That's what I'm talking about in terms of trying to enjoy this experience. Because trust me, you never know if it's going to happen again. At the age of 24, I had been in the finals of the NIT and the NCAA Final Four. And I thought this was going to be the rest of my life. I did. I was fortunate enough to go back to three more NITs. Never went back to the NCAA tournament. So you just don't know.
No, you don't. And Florida's also had to deal with coaches getting hired from their staff.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. And so congratulations to those guys. I mean, there's nothing like, winning. Everybody wants to hire the hot assistants, and that's a byproduct of this. And the coaching carousel, it's spinning, man. It's still spinning, and it is spinning at a high rate.
It is. Don't forget, we're broadcasting live from Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Celebration Point. Watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen later on Spotify, YouTube Podcast, Apple Podcast, any of the nearly 40 platforms that you can subscribe to so you won't miss an episode that we do here. And we are going to take questions and comments on Facebook Live. Just simply let us know in the comment section. So let's get right to our questions of the week.
I hear we had a few.
Yeah, brought to you by Davis Chevrolet, your premier North Central Florida dealer of Chevrolet. You can send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com because we are not done doing this show. We'll get into that in a little bit. Lewis in Gainesville. By the way, can I mention the number of questions? We had over 450 questions sent.
I'm not that smart.
I can't stay awake that long.
But we did have to do some editing and there were several redundant questions,
Yes.
so we've kind of narrowed the list.
Lewis in Gainesville, the 14-2 run in the last 3 minutes of the Tech game, one for the ages. Don't think anybody thought we'd win. How did you guys feel in those final minutes?
Well, you've got, as my old coach used to say, you've got one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel, and that's kind of where Florida was. There are several things that I want to say about the way the game worked out. I thought Texas Tech was the better team for 17 of the 20 minutes in the second half.
Yep.
Those are the kind of losses that will put you in the funny farm.
Yeah.
I want to say a couple of things about Florida's analytical approach to fouling late in the game. Now, they tried to foul Toppin the first time and ended up not getting the call, and then by the time the ball ended up in Williams' hands, they did get the foul. He's an 84% free throw shooter, and he goes to the line and misses the front end of the bonus.
Yep.
But they did that with 2.5 minutes to go in the game, and I think the game was, it was 9 at the time or 6 at the time. I don't think a lot of coaches would do that. And then on the next possession, when it is a 6-point game, I think they fouled Toppin with 2 minutes to go. I think most coaches would play that out instead of fouling. That's an analytical approach to the game that Todd Golden has wrapped his arms around with his staff. And they put Toppin to the line. So those 2 missed free throws were huge in the big scheme of things. Now, and then the other part of the equation, because Florida had no handle on Texas Tech. I thought Texas Tech dominated the middle of the floor against Florida the way very few teams have done, either with pick and roll action, pick and pop action. I mean, they were marvelous. The isolations with Williams, he would get back to the middle of the floor. Florida had no answer.
No.
But I don't want to lose sight of it. Walter Clayton gets all the accolades, and he should. That last 3 that he made going away from the basket, it's just stupid. It's just stupid good. But Florida is not in the Final Four without Thomas Houck. Now, Clayton is the one who gets the spotlight at the end, and rightfully so. But Houck's 2 threes, Houck's offensive rebound, which led to his first 3, he was the one who kept Florida in it at that point in time.
Glad you said that because I was going to mention that.
Yeah, he was spectacular.
Clayton deserves all the accolades he got, but Houck is the unsung guy who did those things. And by the way, I forget who did this, not Fangraph, but at the point in the game, there was with 3 minutes and change to go.
Yeah, 90.
Tech had a 95% chance to win the game. Think of that.
Yeah, it's why I keep talking about the journey. The journey. Every game has its own individual life. Every season has its own individual life, and you've got to enjoy the journey when you're on it. And that part is correct. A win for the ages. That in that setting, the way they won, the way they made their last 4 threes to win that game, spectacular.
Adrian in Gainesville, Elijah Martin, the first player in men's basketball history to start for 2 different teams in the Final Four. Does his experience help his teammates mentally?
Yeah, he's the first, but I think we also have a couple of other guys now that Houston is in the Final Four. So I don't think he's alone in that category anymore.
Rebecca in Gainesville, do you think Texas coach cost them the game playing prevent defense in those final few minutes?
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, they said up front that they were going to be willing to live with Florida's forwards making threes. Now, he's talking about specifically Houck and Condon. Houck did, Condon did not.
Right.
But they were not. How many open looks did Will Richard get? How many open looks did Elijah Martin get? And I thought Hawkins guarding Clayton was sensational. I was shocked at the end when I looked at the box score and Clayton had 30. I mean, I figured he probably had 18 or 20. But his ability to get to the free throw line kept him in the game at different points in time.
And those threes add up.
And you can't foul him or any other. We've talked about this on the air. I've seen more three-point shooters get fouled this year than ever before.
Why do you think that is?
I wish I had a better explanation. Bad closeout angles, not understanding, just being too aggressive with your hands. You can't, and I believe this wholeheartedly, you have to protect the shooter. So anything on the arm, one finger on the arm can alter a guy's shot. So I wish I had a better explanation.
Lauren in High Springs, the point we've been making, Houck was the winning catalyst against Tech. Seems a different player plays that role each game. How does that next man-up mentality help this Gator team?
It's not next man up. He's just part of the rotation. I mean, we've talked about Florida's depth and the quality of their depth. Is there a better fourth guard in the country than Denzel Aberdeen? Is there a better fourth big man in the country than Micah Hanlogden? I mean, I thought Hanlogden was really good, too, in the game. 6 points. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but he had some key tip-ins. He keeps balls active on the offensive glass. Robin
in Gainesville, do you think this Gator team and the 06 teams are similar in that they don't let the highs or the lows affect them too much and they stay even-keeled, unselfish, and focused?
Well, we tend to gravitate to that because of the success that those teams had. But there have been other Gator teams that haven't been successful that have been just as good at the highs and the lows. But winning brings out the spotlight in that.
No question. Ciro in Hudson, Coach, we kind of touched on this. Coach Golden played and rotated 8 players against Tech. Was his strategy due to analytics?
No, this is the way they've rotated players. They've kind of knocked Klavchar out of the rotation. He hasn't played very well in the NCAA tournament nor the SEC tournament. Oddly enough, he was 3 for 3 in the first meeting against Auburn, and that'll get lost in the shuffle. But I would not expect him to play on Saturday.
Yeah, barring foul.
Barring foul
like
issues.
Yep.
Yes.
This is, I love this. Bobby and Waldo, you'll hear this. If Houston beats Duke and we beat Auburn, do we have a problem against Houston?
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem.
Yes.
Houston is so good defensively in a couple of areas. One is they don't get beat off the bounce, so they're not in rotations. And if you do get by them and you get to the rim, you can go to the free throw line. You can expect to go to the free throw line. They rim protect. That's where you're supposed to take your fouls, and that's where Houston takes their fouls. They do not allow anybody to have an uncontested layup ever. So, again, you can look at these two games, and you could make an argument for each one being the heavyweight battle. I just think I think Saturday will be fabulous.
Jack in Tallahassee, we talked about the 95% chance, and he says, has legal betting exposed these comebacks more? I guess because of the percentage.
I mean, sure. But who made the meaningless 3 that changed the game? One of the games had a shot at the buzzer that a lot of money changed hands. I'll put it that way.
Tony in Gainesville, 4 number 1 seeds to the Final Four. Are they the highest NIL budgets as well?
No one knows. That's the problem with the NIL, one of the many problems with the NIL as it exists today. And let's stop calling that. It's not NIL. We're paying players, period. Yeah. Period.
Yeah, totally agree. Stephen in Gainesville, Gators have lost 2 games in the last 2 months. Do they have 2 more wins in them?
Sure, but guess what? So does Houston, so does Duke, so does Auburn.
Brandon in Tallahassee, first time a non-major team's not made it to the Sweet 16. Non-major?
Well, I guess a non-major conference. The Cinderella in the Sweet 16 was Arkansas. Okay, well, I have a hard time thinking of Arkansas as a Cinderella.
Yeah,
so
because he says this is NIL-driven. I don't think so. Monica in Gainesville, Coach Golden didn't adapt and change the plan when Tech was controlling the game.
Yeah,
and their bigs
defensively,
their bigs were dominating the boards. What took so long for adjustments?
I don't think they did do much of the adjustments. They were not willing they were willing, and he talked about this, they were willing to let Tech beat them 2 at a time. They did not want Tech. Tech got off to a great start shooting the 3-ball. And I thought that messed up Florida's kind of confidence in terms of how they were going to guard. So they were a little, burnt child syndrome in terms of not wanting to double down in the post. But Florida was, they stayed defensively the same to the very end. And without the missed free throws, that would have been more of an issue.
Tim in Jacksonville, SEC, 50% of the Elite Eight, 50% of the Final Four. Was this year's SEC the best conference in college basketball ever?
I hate to say this, but the tournament validates, because we always talk about there's too much emphasis on the tournament. Rightly, wrongly, success or failure. We tend to see it through those eyes only. Like Missouri is a great example. Missouri had a great year. I thought they were capable of getting to the second weekend. Mark Mitchell, I'm not sure, was 100%, but nonetheless, they go out in the first round. Does that mean their season was a failure? I think a lot of fans look at it that way. I wish it weren't so.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I totally, and I think we agree, we disagree with that. That first of all, it's hard to be good in our league. And yeah, if it's all about when you play well or you don't. Missouri had a wonderful year.
Right.
A wonderful year, especially from the year they had a year ago, right? But there's going to be some who think it was if not a down year, and I just don't agree with that.
What if Florida had lost? Does that mean it would have been a bad year?
No.
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 You just can't. Again, I'm going to go back to this formula that I formulated. I'm going to say it again. Take a look at your program's last 20 years and figure out, here's what I did. If you didn't make the tournament, it's -1. If you made the tournament, didn't win a game, it's 0. If you win one game, it's 1, and so on. So if you win the whole thing, it's 6. Billy Donovan won the whole thing twice, so he gets 2 6s. I did his average for his 19 years here at Florida. He averaged winning 1.7, 1.8 games in the CAA tournament. So to say that the bar should be at the Final Four is ludicrous. And I say that for Kentucky fans, for Duke fans. Mike Krzyzewski, I think when I did this, his was like 2.4. He averaged 2.4 win. It takes 6 to win the NCAA tournament. Hanging the banner cannot be the expectation. Yeah. Can it be a goal? Of course.
Yeah. And it should be.
But otherwise, you never enjoy a team overachieving, if you want to put it in
or
those
unless
terms.
it wins everything.
Unless it wins everything. And man, what a bar.
Yeah. Let's see. Adam in Gainesville. Barkley said Florida's the only team that gets better when their bench comes in. How true is this?
Again, I stand by what I said. Is there a better fourth guard than Denzel Aberdeen? Is there a better fourth big man than Micah Hanlogton?
Jordan in Gainesville against the Terps. Gators had 13 turnovers in the first half, only 3 in the second.
Yeah.
Against Texas, they were again pretty sloppy with the ball. What do they need to do? I think they meant Tech. What do they need to do next weekend to finally get a grip on these turnover issues?
Well, I want to say something about that. When you play at the pace that Florida plays with, you have more turnovers just by the sheer number of possessions, because you're always willing to make some kind of high-risk, high-reward passes. I think the things that drive me crazy when I watch Florida play is every once in a while they'll do something just really goofy with the ball. And it makes you go, what was he thinking there?
Yeah. But lots of that
happens. But they've been given a lot of offensive freedom, and they have cashed in because of that.
And that, I think, offsets.
More than if you're still playing, it offsets. Yes.
George in St. Augustine, Florida women in the Final Four of the WBIT.
Right.
They also beat Texas Tech on Thursday to make it to Indy. Do you think they can bring home a title? Could?
Could, yeah. I mean, I think I saw where Kelly Ray is not coaching. She's expecting a child. So Susie Gardner, good friend, is in charge. That's today, by the way.
Yes. Last two, Chris in Gainesville, 1,700 players are now in the portal.
Yeah.
Will college basketball look different next year? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the portal is open at this point in time is stupid. Can I just say that and leave it at that? I mean, the NCAA, the National Basketball Coaches Association, they have to get together and change this. This is it's ludicrous. It's just ludicrous.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Zero. I mean, it makes no sense from a practical standpoint.
Because you can't leave school now.
Right.
I mean, you can commit, but you're not leaving school.
You got to finish.
So why not start it April
Right.
10th? And I get what a lot of people are saying. It messes up with the high school recruiting. We've already crossed that bridge. That's not going back.
No.
So the high school recruiting and the importance of freshmen as it relates to the success of your team has been as low as ever, and I think it's going to stay there.
One of the things I really respect about Mark is his consistency. Because what has he said time and time again? Older wins. Older wins.
Yeah.
And we're seeing
the
that.
exception of that is Duke.
Yes,
But
they've
look
got
they got 3 lottery picks.
That's going to say the exception is their talent.
And Malowatch, man, he is a problem. I mean, you can talk about Flagg, Knipple, the way Proctor makes threes, the other guys that they have that fit into their roles. But Malowatch at 7'2" impacts the game down in that high rent district on both ends of the floor that not a lot of people have.
Last one, Alexis and High Springs got to play Auburn for the second time. Does having beaten them earlier this season help or hurt us?
I think both. I think it helps because you know you can do it. It hurts because guess what Auburn's talking about this week. And both teams will have all week to prepare. Both teams will have several days for Broom to get healthier, for Condon to get healthier. So I don't think it's a big advantage one way or the other. I think, I think I saw the early line on the game is 3. Okay, that's one possession, folks.
Right.
I mean, that's it. That's one possession. So I'll be shocked if this is not a one possession game with 5 minutes to go.
A buddy of mine used the analogy here with this Tennessee. That Florida blew out Tennessee. Florida goes to Knoxville. Tennessee blows out Florida.
Yeah.
Well, this is the NCAA tournament. It's I think a little bit different than that. It's not a home game. I think it's just I'm not saying that Auburn isn't looking at that, but I don't think that's going to be a factor in this game.
No, I don't either.
Facebook Live question from Art. Mark, what's it going to take for Houston to knock Duke out?
Well, you better make threes because I just don't think you're going to score down in the paint. If you take out Duke, I think 10 is the magic number. You have to make 10 or more threes because they just don't. With their length, you just cannot score block to block. They don't allow it. Alabama is a great example of that. They score at the arc. We all know about that. I mean, BYU obviously didn't know about it with the game plan that they came up with defensively. I mean. Yeah. And then to say, well, they're not going to keep making shots at the rate they're making them. Yeah, they will. And I knew BYU was in trouble early in the game because Sears got off some early clean looks. Everybody in the SEC knows you cannot allow that. But the back half of Alabama's offensive scheming is they score at the rim. They don't take mid-range shots ever. Okay, they score at the rim. Well, guess what? Duke went, no, you're not scoring at the rim. And a lot of that has to do with Malowatch.
Quality Play of the Week brought to you by Quality Plumbing. We need a quality plumber. Rely on the same company Gainesville's trusted since 1984. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all.
It has to be the Houston out-under play that beat Purdue in the last few seconds. I mean, I get what Braden Smith did in terms of going out and trying to cover the swing man on the out-under, but he vacated the basket area, which you just cannot do. And I can't believe – and I love Kelvin Sampson. I know him because of my American days and covering that conference. And I agree with him. You run plays that you practice. And he said that in the postgame, that he tells his coaches, don't draw up something that we haven't practiced. So this is a play that they practiced. But I can't believe they practice that read very often. So they were trying to get the weak side corner open. That wasn't there. They threw it to their big guy in the mid-range, and the inbounder steps in. I'm sure that's all rehearsed, but you're not going to get that. But to read that at the moment was really sensational.
And again, if you have any Facebook Live questions, you can give them to us. They are brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Much more hoop. There it is. Stay with us.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games, while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for Core Power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious.
Gator fans, let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
Welcome back. Got a couple of questions here. Let's see. Greg says Gators are playing beyond all expectations from the beginning of the season. This team made history. If you saw this coming, a statement. Thank you, Greg. Ron.
It's all true, by the way.
Yeah. Check the recruiting rankings over the last couple of years. UF and Golden have done more without the star power.
Yeah. Walter Clayton was a stud at Iona, so I get the rankings coming out of high school, perhaps, but at the same point in time, he was on every, and he was a coveted portal guy. Will Richard was not that highly recruited. Elijah Martin was not that highly recruited. So from that standpoint, I do want to talk about. I think I mentioned this before. We talk about player development now, only being from October to March. It's no longer year to year. But Florida has some year to year guys in this mix, whether you're talking about Condon or Houck. How about the improvement that Walter Clayton has made from being the scoring guard to the point guard? Mm-hmm. Now, they also have had some guys improve from October to April, but they've got a good mix where a lot of teams don't have that. The other thing I wanted to mention real quickly, Ken Palm's top 40 offensive and defensive efficiency. I've said this for years. The last 10 champions have been highly rated in both those categories, but the offense is actually better than the defense. That's true with Michigan State, meaning they were backwards. It was true with Michigan State. It was true with Tennessee. And only one Final Four team is built backwards that way, and that's Houston.
Okay. By the way, Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Let's do our Coach of the Week, brought to you by International Diamond Center. Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best prices for quality, selection, and value. International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
And it has to be Todd Golden for me. At the age of, I think he's 39. I think he's the second youngest in the Final Four field. John Shire's 37. I could easily put the two of them together. But for Todd Golden to take Florida back to the Final Four, it's the 8th Final Four for Florida in the last 20 years, and I think that's tied for first, second, something like that. So Florida has had a good run of Final Four appearances, and the impressive thing is that they've done that with 3 different coaches and came, one game away from doing it for a 9th time with 4 different coaches. So Todd Golden, Coach of the Week, for obvious reasons. Happy for him, happy for his staff. Do me a favor, guys. Get out of the hotel just 1 hour and walk around and just breathe it in, because it's a regret that I still live with.
Having not been I wasn't even a good basketball player, but I've always loved the game. When I went to Indy for the Final Four, I did just that, even with a media hat on.
Yeah.
My son was working for Billy Donovan at the time.
Right.
So it was extra special because I got to be there with him. And we did that. We walked out, Mark.
It's different.
It is. And we just were absorbed by everything. And it doesn't really hit you then, but the memory of that is great.
And the Final Four sites, and I love San Antonio. It's my second favorite to Indianapolis. All 4 fan bases are walking around on Friday.
Yep.
I mean, it is an atmosphere that's a little bit different.
Team of the Week, brought to you by Ruse Ogra, State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Ruse Ogra is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want.
Everybody's talking about the fact that Duke hasn't been tested in a close game recently or in the NCAA tournament. Well, there's a reason for that, okay? If you want to get them tested, you better play your A game. I just think they are reminding me of UConn last year. I think they are reminding me of the second Villanova title team that kind of lambasted everybody through the tournament. They're playing that well.
All right, we'll take a break. Come back. Still have plenty of time to hear from you as we talk hoops on Hoop. There it is.
When the head ball coach needed concrete work done for Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, he went with the crew you can trust to get the job done right. Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors across the Southeast. Through time-tested know-how, exacting standards, and rugged workmanship, Silverback Concrete never misses the chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather, precision, grit, safety, and speed. Silverback Concrete. From river to ridge, swamp to coast, Silverback Concrete is your full-service concrete contractor that can get the job done right no matter the terrain. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to learn more. That's silverbackconcrete.co. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back. Visit silverbackconcrete.co today. silverbackconcrete.co.
At Davis Gainesville Chevy, everything's on sale. For a limited time, brand new 4-wheel drive crew cab Silverados, just $449 a month. That's new Silverados, only $449 a month. New Tahoes, Equinox, Blazers, and Trax, under $20,000. With hundreds of used trucks and SUVs, under $18,000. Give us a call or visit us online at DavisGainesvilleChevrolet.com. We're here for you.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity.
Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice. TitanMRI.com.
We welcome you back. Let's do our sub of the week, brought to you by Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Sub of the week.
I hate to keep repeating myself, but Thomas Houck, there can't be a better, 20 and 11, career high in the regional final, made key shots, a player who has gone from 47% free throw shooter to over 80, a legit threat at the three-point line. Thomas Houck, I don't know that there's a better sub, and I don't know that there's been a better sub in the NCAA tournament other than Thomas Houck.
I agree. Games to look for, brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, the proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the court.
Well, there's the second, what I'm going to call the competition to the NIT. By the way, I also wanted to say I had a couple of NIT games last week. I love doing the NIT. I thought it was a lot of fun. I did the quarterfinal game at Loyola Chicago with Kent State. So great atmosphere there on campus at the Gentile Arena. It was a lot of fun. But the other one that's sponsored by Fox that has to do with the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Big East, that starts actually today. So I'm anxious to see how this plays out. 16 teams now. In order to get to 16, they had to pull a couple of other teams, but they do have a full field, and you can watch that on Fox today. But the women, Florida's women, play today at 5 on ESPNU, and, of course, that game is from historic Hinkle Fieldhouse, where they measure the baskets. It's still 10 feet tall. If you don't get that reference, hand into your Hoop Junkie card. You're fired. Tuesday, the NIT on the men's side gets back into action with their semifinal action. On Thursday, the NIT will have their finals. Friday and Sunday is the women's Final Four. And as a matter of fact, I left this out, but today is the back end of their filling out their Final Four. They have 2 more regional finals today. Man, I'm really curious to watch Southern Cal without Juju Watkins to see if they can get to the Final Four against Paige Beckers. So, and then Saturday, Monday is the men's Final Four, culminating with the championship game on Monday night.
Lots of hoops.
Yeah, and hey, remind everybody that if Florida wins on Saturday, that we're looking at doing a show on Sunday at 2 o'clock, which will be just a championship preview by itself. And we're still going to do our wrap-up show next Tuesday after the men's final.
Yep. So we could have
I thought I'd get that in.
Thank you. So we still got more to go. We are going to talk a lot of hoops with you. Ball of the Week brought to you by Crystal Air and Water. Family-owned and operated Crystal Air and Water services air conditioners, furnaces, boilers, and more for Gainesville, Alachua, and other nearby areas. We're not comfortable until you are. Baller of the Week.
Well, as usual, I got ahead of myself. Paige Beckers, Paige Beckers threw a 40-burger in their regional semifinal win. So they're playing Southern Cal tonight. That's must-watch TV. Paige Beckers, what people don't get, Paige Beckers was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
And then Beckers had the series, not just one, but a series of knee surgeries, which really sidetracked her career. She's fun to watch. She's just fun to watch. She's got a mid-range jumper that is dynamite, and she's trying to lead UConn back to another title chase for Gino.
And, I'll say this because I did women's basketball broadcast for a long time with Florida, and the way that game has become more national, fans are recognizing that these ladies can certainly hoop, they can play, and it's not so top-heavy anymore. Right. UCLA now, right? It used to be, UConn and maybe 2 or 3 other teams. Well, other schools now are putting money into this and putting recruiting into this, and it's a lot better.
South Carolina is going back to the Final Four, but it has not been easy.
No.
They have really struggled.
Offensively a lot.
Yeah, and Duke gave them all kinds of problems yesterday, I suppose, because I was watching some of that game. For all of us hoop junkies who love watching hoops, college hoops, our days are starting to dwindle a little bit.
Let me ask about South Carolina, because I noticed that they were behind and came back late to win. When you have won, UConn kind of went through this. Even though it's different kids, is there still pressure on who's ever playing? Because it just seems like that's what I see with them, that they're just, boy, all this pressure's on us, and yet somehow they've gotten back to the Final Four. Is there any credence to that?
Absolutely. And I think the South Carolina strength is in their numbers, but I'm not sure that they're as high-end talented as they have been. UConn men, another great example. They have to play with the weight of trying to three-peat. They've had to do that all year with a less talented team. Not a poorly talented team, don't get me wrong, but a less talented team than the 2 teams that won the tournament. That's a bad combination. When you have not as quite as good a player and you're playing with that kind of pressure, not every once in a while, every time you lace it up. Auburn, I thought, looked really tired to me mentally in the last 3 weeks of the season. Why? Because, man, that mantle that you're wearing for a couple of months of being ranked number 1, that grinds, that grates on you.
And everybody goes after you.
Everybody,
too.
I mean,
Everybody. It could be the worst team. They're after you.
Right.
We'll take a break, come back. More hoop. There it is. Stay with us.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, starting Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. When I was the voice of the Gators, I called championship games while Quality Plumbing was becoming champions for the Gainesville area.
I'm Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators, as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. For years to come, I'll be calling games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for Core Power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
At Davis Gainesville Chevy, everything's on sale. For a limited time, brand new 4-wheel drive crew cab Silverados, just $449 a month. That's new Silverados, only $449 a month. New Tahoes, Equinox, Blazers, and Trax, under $20,000. With hundreds of used trucks and SUVs, under $18,000. Give us a call or visit us online at DavisGainesvilleChevrolet.com. We're here for you.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
And don't forget about Silverback Concrete, building firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Broadcasting from Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in Celebration Point. Watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Later, watch us or listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, any of the 40 platforms. You can find your favorite podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We are going to now do our women's basketball check-in, brought to you by Meldon Law with 50 years of experience, the only accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. We kind of touched on this a little bit. UCLA, with all of the men's program's history, they made history.
Yeah, they got to the Final Four for the first time. Jaquez was marvelous at making threes. Lauren Betts, at 6'7", is a problem for everybody because she does what we used to call the Haslam move. She runs the floor, plants herself in the middle of the paint, gets you on her back, and she does not let go. And they do a nice job of finding her in timing, and she can deliver. So she's going to be an issue. I'm going to remind everybody, Paige Becker's in USC and the Florida women at 5 o'clock today on the U against the U.
Yes.
That's what Minnesota refers to themselves as, by the way, the U.
Miami's not the only one.
You know that, yes.
Not the only one. Yep. All right. Instead of doing our top 4 teams, what I want to do as we get close to ending today is have Mark handicap, if you will, or look at the matchups here in the Final Four. Brought to you by Fairlife Core Power. Discover Core Power protein shakes by Fairlife. Explore 26G and 42G high-protein drinks, perfect for workout recovery and nutrition. Let me ask it this way, Mark. Let's start with Houston Duke. Tell me how each team, what they have to do to beat the other.
Well, let's start with Houston because I think it's more important for them to hit this mark. And I talked about this earlier. They have to make threes. And they are the #1 3-point shooting team in the country percentage-wise. They do not take an absorbent amount of threes because they don't play that fast. This will be a tug of war on tempo. Duke will want to get this game in the 80s, and Houston will want to keep this game in the 60s. That's the way they play on both ends of the floor. They don't allow you to score quickly, and they don't score quickly. But they must make, I think, 10 or more threes because Duke doesn't give you points in the paint. You don't get a lot of second chance opportunities. Now, I will say this. I think Houston wants a slow whistle in the game. And I hate to bring that up as being an important part of the game, but they need this to be a rock fight. and get Duke playing in the mud with them.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do that, then I think they'll be right there at the end. But if they're not making threes, Duke is so versatile offensively in terms of both their personnel, their ability to score threes or get the ball inside. Watch the matchup of who's guarding Cooper Flagg and can they stay out of foul trouble. I think that'll be paramount. If I'm Duke, I just want to be Duke. I don't. If Duke plays well and Houston plays well,
Duke,
I think it's a Duke 10-point win.
I think it's a Duke win too. But I love your analogy there because Kelvin Sampson, we all know his problems in the past, right? But the dude can coach.
Oh.
And the dude can recruit, and the dude can draw up plays. And what I like about them, you kind of touched on it, they know who they are.
Right.
Right now, did they get a better three-point shooting at the end? Yes, they're better. But they know who they are and what they have to do, and they play like it. I love that.
Well, what's interesting is I think both programs have shed an image with the current roster that they have. And what I mean by that is Houston has usually been an all-defense, can't-score team.
Right.
Okay, they've shed that because of the way this particular group shoots three. Sharp is, sensational. I think they've got three guys at 41, 42% on the year. Duke has had to shed the pretty boy label, if you will, the entitled label, if you will.
Yep.
And they've done that. The way they play, I mean, they are aggressive. So from that standpoint, I think both teams, I think it's going to be a half-court, grind-out shots. If Houston cannot make 10 or more threes, they better get some second-chance opportunities. And I just don't think that exists against Duke.
All right.
I think Auburn and Florida, either one, is a better matchup for Duke.
Okay. Let's go to Florida, Auburn. They've already played. We already know what happened.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate this being as high scoring. Do you?
No, because both teams will have a week to prepare, and you know what they're both going to do. They're going to go, we can't allow that. Florida made 13 threes in the first game. Bruce Pearl and his staff are going to, that's going to be their beginning point. We must limit Florida at the arc the way Texas Tech did. Now, does Auburn play that kind of committed man-to-man defense as Texas Tech? No, not all the time. I think from the flip side, I think Florida kind of was willing to live with Broome being Broome, but they did a nice job on Denver Jones. I think he only had 2 points in a game. I don't see that happening again. Miles Kelly did have a good game against Florida, and he's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, and I mean that from a positive point of view. Between how good Denver Jones is playing and especially how good Pettiford is playing as a freshman. He kind of comes in as he's been given a lot of freedom. He can create looks on his own, utilizes his quickness, his left-handed. He can create his own three-point shot. But Broome is still Broome, and you've got to be able to kind of stop him there. I think Florida won the first game because they had a great first half of shooting. I think if my memory serves me right, I think they made 57% in the first half, had 8 threes, maybe finished with 13 threes, and they won the three-point battle. If they win the three-point battle again, they'll win again. But I think this is a one-possession game with 2 minutes to go, and it could go either way. That's how good of a matchup I think this is.
All right, don't forget all of our Facebook Live questions brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. We appreciate them sponsoring the questions that you have Facebook Live and elsewhere. Final break. We'll come back and wrap it up. Hoop, there it is. Stay with us.
Crystal Air and Water, we've got a winning offer for you. As you switch off the AC and turn on the heat, why not upgrade to a new system? Take advantage of our amazing financing options. You can get a 12.99 fixed rate for 5, 10, or 15 years, or you can score big with 12 months, same as cash financing. Don't fumble on comfort this season. Crystal Air and Water has you covered. Call them today at 352-333-0460 or visit acpenguin.com.
License number CMC 1249384.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Florida Victorious is a powerful chapter in UF's NIL story.
We are
Florida Victorious. Gator fans, let's get on board now, okay?
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators.
At Titan MRI and Imaging, you'll visit the only locally owned and operated MRI imaging center in town. Start feeling better today. It's your choice, TitanMRI.com.
And just a last reminder before we say goodbye today, should Florida win its first game, we will have a hoop, there it is for you, 2 o'clock on Sunday, okay? Regardless of Florida's outcome, we will have our final hoop, there it is show Tuesday, next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow at 10 o'clock, okay? So put those 2 dates down. If Florida wins, 2 p.m. Sunday, regardless, next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. All right.
By the way, I wanted a quick shout out. I kind of got reversed on my order at one point in time today. Baller of the week was actually Walter Clayton for obvious reasons, but I also wanted to say goodbye to Mark Sears and Zakai Ziegler. Losers in the only in the sense that they lost their Elite 8 game, but 2 guys undersized that I've had the pleasure of covering in the SEC. They'll be sorely missed. Mark Sears of Alabama, Zakai Ziegler of Tennessee.
And playing a historic year with SEC.
And the SEC still going, man. 2 in the Final Four. I mean, validation for just a sensational season, top to bottom in the league.
No question. That's going to do it for our hoop. There it is for today. Thanks to Zach Rothrock for producing it. We thank you for tuning in either live or when you might catch it. We appreciate you doing that. Until either Sunday or next Tuesday, for Mark Wise, I'm Steve Russell. That's our hoop. There it is for today. See you later.
WRUF.com and on the WRUF radio app. Hoop, there it is. Paid for by WeBe Marketing and produced by ESPN 98.1 FM, 850 AM. WRUF, the home of the Florida Gators.